The Prime Minister's Mann Ki Baat has hit its century milestone, and it is being I'm Barkha Dutt, you're with the Mojo story. On this special broadcast today, we'll be looking at the political as well as social significance of this radio broadcast where the Prime Minister effectively addresses the people of India and the diaspora directly. There has been a great deal of debate around Mann Ki Baat, but in some ways, Prime Minister Modi, both with his use of Mann Ki Baat as well as his use of social media, has laid fresh rules for political communication in the digital age. In fact, don't be surprised if whoever is Prime Minister of India next, whether Prime Minister Modi or someone else, this is a template that is now here to stay. The Prime Minister of 1.4 billion people addressing the people directly. Let's go across now to somebody who has not just led the Prasar Bharati, but has in fact written a recent book that has looked at the significance of this direct political contact with the people of India. Shashi Shekhar joins us now. Mr. Shekhar, it's very nice to see you here. Let me start by asking you, as we look at this milestone marker, the century mark, what do you think is the biggest significance in terms of how Mann Ki Baat has changed the rules of political communication? One second, sir, I can't hear you. We have to unmute you. Yeah, go ahead, sir. Yeah.
Yeah. So as I was saying that, Mann Ki Baat has now, with 100 episodes over the last 9 years, has set a very high benchmark, as you rightly put it, in terms of, citizen leader communication. What I found, while researching for this book is that it was very hard to find an equivalent, kind of, model or a template for communication, the world over. You have, for example, the presidential addresses that happen in the United States on the weekends, but they also tend to, cover largely partisan issues. I think what has been very unique about Mann Ki Baat, and perhaps the most significant aspect of Mann Ki Baat, is the non-partisan way in which Prime Minister Modi has conversed with the country over the last 9 years, and he has been steadfast in ensuring that partisanship doesn't find space within this discourse. I think that is perhaps the most unique and what stands out in terms of the entire spectrum of communication between a democratically elected leader and the citizens of a democracy.
That's a very interesting point, and you're right. I'm in America right now, and when you think of, there's a lot of direct political communication that goes on here, but it's always through the prism of one or the other political party. But when you think of this template of Mann Ki Baat, Shashi, do you think that, I was just thinking that tomorrow, let's say there is a different prime minister. Do you think this is a template that is here to stay?
Well, I think in many ways, several political leaders across India have already emulated this template, right? For example, we at All India Radio were also hosting several chief ministers who were doing similar kind of conversations, though perhaps not at the same intensity, not the same frequency and regularity. But you had Shivraj Singh Chauhan in Madhya Pradesh. You also had some Congress chief ministers in Chhattisgarh and Karnataka in the past, who have tried to emulate the same template. So I wouldn't be surprised that if this becomes the norm for future communications by prime ministers of India, because a very high benchmark has been set, and I'm sure every other leader will be judged against this high benchmark.
What is your favorite episode? Is there one that really stays with you?
Well, if you ask me, what are my favorite episodes, I would say one which really stands out in my memory is the one with President Obama, the joint episode, where I think it was very unique and almost unprecedented, right? Because I don't think any visiting head of state ever has been, hosted in this manner, where along with the host head of government, has done a radio program of this kind, conversing with the people. So that was very unique to me, that particular episode from January of 2015. There are other episodes as well where very poignant moments which have been captured by Mann Ki Baat. So, for example, there is the conversation with Lata Mangeshkar, which I think is very unique. Perhaps the only time where a living legend, an icon, was in conversation with the Prime Minister on Mann Ki Baat. So that's a very unique episode. There are also these episodes where he talks of even the small things which actually go back to his own personal formative experiences. Though he doesn't say it in as many words, you can infer that. So, for example, during COVID, when the first after the first lockdown, when the festival season was upon us, the Prime Minister made a very interesting, very poignant point that you need to think of everyone, include everyone in the festival celebration. Think of your domestic help, think of the people who provide services, your milkman, your newspaper boy, and so on, and make sure that everyone is a part of the festival celebration. I think that was a very poignant comment to make, given his own personal circumstances, his own personal life journey.
Yeah, very interesting. But the other thing that's happened is Man Ki Baat has now entered the political lexicon. And sometimes, even when opposition leaders are targeting the prime minister or a public figure is making some comment or
I think we've lost your audio.
my yeah, no, I'm here, Shashi. I was just saying that the phrase Man Ki Baat has entered the political lexicon. So even when
Right.
opposition leaders want to talk about the prime minister or sometimes criticize him, or public figures want to make a point, like the protesting wrestlers, they'll say, Pradhan Mantri ji, hamari bhi to Man Ki Baat suniye. So the entry of this phrase into the political lexicon, talk a little bit about that.
Right. So, I mean, in a sense, Man Ki Baat has become a meme of sorts, right,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
a
yeah,
metaphor for whole lot of
yeah,
political context.
yeah.
And I think it's to the credit of the Prime Minister that he has given it that space, that importance, that significance.
Yeah.
Because remember, it's not just swachhta, it's not just cleanliness, water conservation, space or startups. He's also talked about difficult subjects on Mann Ki Baat, and I think that is where, which is perhaps ticked off the opposition as well, right? So, for example, early on in Mann Ki Baat, when the land acquisition bill was being debated, he brought the issues surrounding it to Mann Ki Baat and discussed it at threadbare, setting the record straight, clarifying the facts. So in that sense, Mann Ki Baat was a platform for citizen consultation as well for very difficult subjects. Similarly, you see that several years later on, you fast forward to 21, 22, the farm bills have also been the subject of discussion on Mann Ki Baat. So it's not that he shied away from difficult subjects. He's taken them up at the appropriate moments, and Mann Ki Baat has been that platform where it has been also about consultation. It has also been about clarifying, challenging legislations to the people. So in that sense, I totally understand why the political opposition would start using this moniker in various political contexts. So in that sense, Man Ki Baat has found a very deep resonance within the political lexicon, as you put it.
Yeah, very interesting idea that it's become both a metaphor and a political meme, and the prime minister, in fact, allowing it that space because actually, it's become a phrase by itself in the politics of India. Here's a question for you. What do you think would have been the most difficult subject in all of the episodes so far for the prime minister to handle? And have you found Man Ki Baat changing? Has it changed in character? Has it evolved in character?
Let me take the second part first, right? Has it changed in character? Absolutely, right. It's if you look at the first Man Ki Baat, it was largely a monologue, largely talking about, his ideas, his thoughts, and then you see it starts evolving very quickly. By January, which is just the fourth episode of Man Ki Baat, you have this joint conversation with President Obama, and they were taking questions from the people. And you see a big change in Man Ki Baat during 2020, especially the COVID months, where the Prime Minister started reaching out to the front lines of response to COVID, be it the nurses, the doctors, the oxygen suppliers. Uh, you
Hmm.
know, uh, so in that sense, the manner in which Man Ki Baat was being conducted has undergone a substantial change. Also, use of technology, right? Initially, the inputs were coming in from social media, MyGov. People were writing in. with postcards. Then they set up a telephone facility where you could call in and leave messages. You could record messages, and then so you have whole different channels to interact with the Prime Minister through Mann Ki Baat. So that has been the change in its characteristics, its evolution. Coming back to your the first part of your question, what was perhaps the most difficult period for Mann Ki Baat? I would say the COVID period,
Yeah.
especially when there was so much of misinformation, so much of anxiety, uncertainty around what is going to happen. I think it is to his credit that he very admirably handled the conversation with the citizens during those months. In fact, the data, if you look at the audience research data on the television side, because unfortunately for radio we don't have hard numbers, but on the television side, the peak of Mann Ki Baat was during COVID. You had more than 120 channels carrying it live, and some of the most viewed episodes at that time on television were during that COVID period. So
Yeah.
that kind of was a validation for why it was so important, why it was so difficult. And to me personally, I think what stands out is how he was able to blend Indian traditional cultural values, talk about that, and link it with modern science to overcome vaccine hesitancy. I mean, it's admirable that India, and when we see zero COVID right across the border with China, what we were able to do democratically in achieving more than 2 billion doses of vaccinations, it's I think phenomenal, and I think Mann Ki Baat has played a very significant role in addressing the hesitancy, addressing the anxieties around COVID, and ensuring that people got vaccinated.
A last question to you, and this is a slightly political question, and the question is this: that it is often said that the BJP under Prime Minister Modi has changed the rules of politics, and one of the ways in which they changed the rules, they were early practitioners of social media, and now with Mann Ki Baat, if you look at these two things together, it seems that there is a kind of growing irrelevance for mainstream media when it comes to political communication, right? Because today you can, and politicians have started doing this, right? Politicians across groups now stream their press conferences. They'll live. If they want to make a point, they'll release a video of their own. And the BJP started this, and you can't but see Mann Ki Baat in that larger framework, that today it is possible to, you don't need media to be the mechanism for communication.
Absolutely, I think you just hit it, the nail on the head. If you recall, I would call Prime Minister Modi. In fact, I've said this in the book as well, that he's perhaps India's first digital prime minister. Right? He was never shy of using technology, and as you rightly pointed out, his first public communication would be a 140 character tweet when the limit was 140 characters.
Yeah.
His press conferences or speeches would actually be YouTube addresses. I remember in 2012 when he did a Google Hangout, the YouTube India servers had crashed because that was the kind of traffic he was able to attract even as chief minister back at that time. And if you look at Mann Ki Baat and MyGov, these are actually evolutions of how the BJP was using technology even during the 2014 campaign through the volunteer platform for Mission 272. And you see that same volunteerism through digital platforms extending to MyGov. And then that engagement now much more broad-based through Mann Ki Baat through radio and mass media. And clearly, mainstream media has a challenge. In fact, when people ask me, why doesn't he discuss politics on Mann Ki Baat? So my response is, if he did that, then primetime anchors will be out of their jobs because nobody's going to watch.
Very interesting. Well, thank you, Shashi, and congratulations on your book. I think it captures a kind of cross-section in both media and politics. There's a churn in both media and politics, and in some ways, Mann Ki Baat is an instrument of political communication, in particular, social communication, of course. But as a student of politics, I think it fascinates me as an instrument of political communication, and your book does capture that. Thank you very much. Take care, and thank you for talking to us. Thank you.
Thank you.
We started Mojo right here in this basement. Just 4 people, 4. And now we're about to hit our first 1 million subscribers. So this is to say thank you to all of you for your support, for your respect, and for your encouragement. We've always gone to where the story is. During the pandemic, when television's big anchors were hunkered down in their studios or at their homes, we hit the road. We traveled from Delhi to Kerala, covering 30,000 kilometers in a small car. reporting from inside ICUs and inside slum tenements. Whether it's flash floods or war zones, we've always put our boots on the ground. In fact, we're just back from Punjab, tailing the Khalistani fugitive Amritpal Singh. And through all of this, we have always put you, the people, first. In an age of partisan polarized media where most journalists are either chamcha ya morcha, we believe the story is sacred and the truth of the story is what matters. And now as we get ready for the next step, we need your help. Become a Mojo member and get first access to all our big interviews. Get a chance to ask our newsmakers questions. Get a chance to write and report for us for both our website and our channels. And also, interact with me and my colleagues directly through AMA sessions. Literally, ask me anything. Click on the join now right next to the subscribe button, and yes, also subscribe if you haven't yet, and become a Mojo member for just 159 rupees a month. Hope to see lots of you in our community. It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe.